the thing we fear the most is the light inside of us. Man, I really feel like that's the truth. Like I've been so nervous of that my whole life, of just like actually being who I'm meant to be. That's where all my negative stuff came in, you know, not having the courage to say, no, I'm not drinking tonight. I got a game tomorrow. And really it's like a lack of rest. The stillness for me was always the thing that terrified me the most. That's why I always I had to go out 3-4 nights a week. I had to be up. And so I never rested. So I've always self-sabotaged by not resting, where now I'm not doing all those negative things. It's a good thing, right? But if you got to go to the gym every single day and you can't miss a day, and then that becomes worship is just what you spend the most time with. So it's well, if I'm worshiping fear and worry, I'm spending the most time with that, then I get that in my life. What's up, guys? This is episode 13, Seed Time and Harvest. We're talking today about self-assessment and, self-awareness.
Yeah.
I think that's a powerful thing. It's I heard John Maxwell say back in the day, if you want to lead others, you first got to lead yourself. And, he's one of the people I look up to in...
John Maxwell?
Yeah, just from a leadership perspective. He's written 200 books.
Why do I not know John Maxwell?
Oh, bro. Got to get into him.
Okay.
But I've always thought about this.
I probably will see his face and be
totally,
okay, I know
you've
who
100%
this is.
heard his stuff. You just didn't probably realize it was him. Another thing he says is everything you want in life is uphill. It's it takes intention and effort in order to go up the mountain, right? And I've really thought about that recently. We were just talking offline about this, of how when we're able to self-assess, it's you got to look in the mirror, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, in order to really move forward. Because it's if you don't know where you're at, you don't know where you're going, right? So, you just turned 40, big 40. Welcome to the club. It's kind of cool. The number 40, I looked it up what the number 40 means. I love that stuff. And it means completion. You think about stories in the Bible about the Israelites, they were in the desert for 40 years. And then
40 days, 40 nights.
Yeah, Jesus fasted for 40 days. It's well, what's the meaning of that number? And it's actually a really cool thing. It's like you said, it's the second half begins. And I really think there's a lot of truth in that. It's I think we're unlearning everything up till about this 40-year mark. And then it's I think life truly starts.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. We dressed up for a little Halloween party last night. And I wore my football jersey. My little daughter was a football. My wife was a referee.
Oh, nice.
And I haven't worn that jersey in literally 20 years. That's weird. And I feel like I'm 25. Not a problem, right? But anyways, going back to what we're talking about, it's what have you kind of learned and what has come to you as we're turning 40? I know it's been a big thing for you. So talk about that, bro.
No, it's funny, and I appreciate that. And you always tee me up so well. But no, it was bittersweet. I was talking to Mikey yesterday, and he always was dude, what's up? You don't seem, so excited about this. And I'm dude, it's bittersweet for me. Has nothing to do with the age of oh, I'm 40. To me, it was just this, looking back and going, oh my God, I lived a certain way for so long, and it wasn't the most righteous at all. If people that know me that watch this or whatever know that I took extreme amount of risk, physical risks, health risks, emotional risks, business, financial risks, every type of, I pushed the envelope on every single thing I did. And thinking that's just how you live, the YOLO mentality, we're not going to be here forever. So I'm just going to maximize every minute I have and take every risk, make every bad decision you can possibly make and just see what happens. And it was so irresponsible. So there's a lot of I hate the word regret, but it's kind of the only word that's man, I really do wish that I had the foresight to see the light earlier, right? Because I do look back and I'm damn, God, I wish I would have made better decisions then. But also I wouldn't be where I'm at. I would not have learned any of these things. And so for me, the second half has begun. I really do believe wholeheartely, and I'm sure some can relate, of now I get to live, I'm blessed enough to live this second life.
Yeah.
I'm getting I have another life I'm about to live. And I forget who said this, but it's your real life begins when you realize you only have one.
That's good.
You know, so like your real life begins when you realize, wow, I only get to do this one time. I need to do it right. And for me, it wasn't this like birthday moment that I realized this. I mean, we've been talking about time and conceptualizing and processing time and how long we're here for a while since we started this podcast. And it was like, whoa, like depending on your health, and we joke and you're like, I'm going to live to be 120, dude. F that. Like I'm living to be 120. But in reality, like if depending on some illness you get, maybe you can't run away from cancer here, or that something happens there, or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or what, you don't know what, like all the damage I've done to my body.
Yeah.
Who knows what tries to catch me, you know? And I'm like, so I feel like, man, I might have like 40 to 45 more summers left. My mid 80s.
Yeah.
You know, if I lived a full life, you're in your mid 80s, maybe you get to 90.
Yeah.
So like 40 to 45 summers left. And that is like, holy shit. Then you start counting those bad boys down and they're going to go quick, especially with kids and the way we live. Like it kind of is like fast forward. So the intention, like every conversation I have, every moment I have with my kids, what I'm doing at work, and it's a lot of it is to do with self-assessing.
Yeah.
Am I truly happy with this? And and don't lean on and just like dwell on all these past decisions. Like they're gone.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
Right? You get this reset mode. So from my health to I kind of ate like shit the past like week of like, screw it. You know, we went to the convention, which we could talk about too, and all this stuff, but it was just like, oh my gosh, like there's so much more I get to go do. And I really do now need to live life to the fullest in a different way.
Yeah.
Because I definitely live life to the fullest, you know, and I mean, even had some friends reach out like, dude, I have to be honest with you. I didn't think you would see 40.
Wow.
And these are friends I've had since I was, little kid. And they weren't joking. They weren't trying to be like, ha, 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 ha. No, they were like, I honestly didn't think that you were going to hit 40 years old.
Yeah.
You always put, whether it been a car accident, you know, a drunk situation, some overdose, something, you know, some fight that went wrong. People were like, yeah, something's going to happen to you. Right. And I'm not, that's not a boast or a brag at all. That's like more of like this, like, oh shit. Like, I can't even believe somebody that I love would be like, man, I'm actually surprised you hit 40 years old.
Dude, it's so funny as you're telling me this, like I see it completely different. It's like, I see it as what you've been through is a gift. And you get to teach people a better way through this, you know?
Yep.
And like, I think it's also a gift because it's like we've both talked about, like we got kind of like a sense of urgency. It's like I look at my 20s, it's like I don't remember those years very much. Like what was I doing? A lot of stuff I probably shouldn't have been, you know? But like it's also, everything happens for a purpose, right? I think we're right on time. I think you had to go through what you went through in order to help the people you're meant to help. Yeah. And that's the way I see it. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe you got 45 summers left. Maybe you got 25.
Yeah.
Maybe you got 20. Maybe you got 60. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's like where being present and just like living life with intention really comes in. I think that's a hard thing. Like we talk about our team a lot. I think it's a hard thing for someone to get in their 20s. It's like with age hopefully comes a little bit of wisdom. And so I think your life experiences lead to that and it gives you that wisdom. Yeah. It's like, what is there? There's, you know, knowledge, there's understanding, and then there's wisdom. It's like knowledge you can get in a book. We have an abundance of, how many podcasts are there out there right now? You know, you can get knowledge anywhere, but the application of that knowledge is understanding. So it's like, the reason I trust you in real estate is because you've been there and done that. You have a certain level of understanding that someone who just got their license doesn't have because you've been through it. And then wisdom is the application of both. I think that's like really so you could be wise at 20, right? Yeah. And I hope like my kids are able to get that and avoid a lot of the mistakes I made, right? So like I think it's a gift for you, bro. Like
yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the same way.
Change in perspective, you know? Yeah. It's like as opposed to like, oh man, it's winding down like over the hill. I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm just getting started. I feel better physically, mentally. Like I feel like I'm able to do stuff now that I never would have been able to. Like when I was playing football, I was drinking probably 3-4 nights a week, heavy. And it's like, you probably could have went to a level you never thought, but I didn't have the discipline, or even like just like the courage to take the high road, right? Like it says, you know, narrow is the way and few there be that find it. Like when you're living right, like there is no limit, right? Because then you're allowing a power bigger than yourself to work through you. And that's like what I think about, like, what does like religion teach us, right? Well, teach us a lot of rules, but those rules, it's kind of like, you think about like your kids, you got a heavenly father, you got your own father. Like, yeah, I want the best for you, but there's going to be parameters. Like I just can't let you like stay out all night, right? Or I can't let my son just, you know, go ride his bike wherever he wants. You know, it's like, like I got to set this up. And it's like, that's the way this universe has been set up. So when we live inside those parameters, we can be blessed. And I tried to live outside of that my whole life and still be blessed, right? And I was like, what the heck's going on? But it's like, these are parameters where when you stay within the boundaries, you know, you can go to places you never even thought possible, man.
Yeah, and I squandered a lot of that, right? Because I lived in the gray forever, right? And I squandered, and I was still receiving blessings and light and forgiveness and second chances, third chances, fourth chances,
10th chances.
Yeah, and there were times that I was wondering, like, why? Like almost pushing the envelope even harder because you feel invincible. Like it's not going to get me, right? As long as I'm not hurting someone.
Yeah.
Or like you would come up with your own, you know, ideologies of, okay, or justifications of, okay, as long as I'm not doing this, this, and this, I can still kind of like toe this line.
Yeah.
Right. And it was weird, dude, leaving Vegas. So I went to Vegas. We went to the whole Zillow convention or whatever. And I go out there with Mike and Isaac. And it was just such a cool thing because I had already in my mind committed. Like I'm not going out. There's no debauchery. We'll be done. Yeah. Like no drinking, no gambling, no strip clubs. Like Vegas is going to have to like just be what it is. And it is. If through that lens, you really do look at it, and they call it Sin City as a joke and what it is, but no, it is. Like it might be the devil's like residence. Yeah. You know, up on some hill in the desert out there. Like
way down in a cave.
Or something. Right? Like I could sense an energy there that I had never felt before because I was so numb.
You're aware of it now.
To it because I was always just like faded or at a pool party drinking, ripping shots and at a gambling table feeling the rush of like winning or losing and, you know, women and whatever. And I left the hotel room and it was the first time that I walked out of there and I wasn't like fleeing some crime scene. Do you know what I'm saying? Like in one way or another, whether it was alcohol.
I just think of The Hangover.
Dude, verbatim. Yeah. Right? Like where you're not getting back on getting in your Uber and getting on your plane, you know, basically asking for forgiveness for these last 2 or 3 days. And like, it's never going to happen again. I'm never going to drink like that again, or I'm never going to carry on like that again. Instead, I was just going back to like a great situation. But as I was walking out of it, and whether people think this is corny or not, I know that you won't, but like as I was leaving, it was almost like I was saying goodbye to this version of me that like I just had watched die. And it was so easy. But then as I started to really reflect on that of like, what does that even mean? Like, because you've heard it, I've heard it of like, man, you got to kill that version of yourself. Yeah. You got to cut off the head of the snake, whatever your trigger points are, your addictions, like whatever is making you make these poor choices. It's in you somewhere where you think that this is what you need, right? You need this affirmation, you need this feeling, you need this shot of adrenaline in order to feel alive or to feel like yourself or to feel confident, whatever it is. And knowing that I was coming home to, you know, my mom and my daughter picking me up at the airport. You know, it was my 40th birthday. I went home. I walked into my house. My little brother was there. They had like, try not to get emotional, but like walking in to this like room filled with people that like love me and people that I love, and knowing for the first time in my life ever that I was walking in there with a clear conscience. I wasn't masking anything. I wasn't hiding anything. I wasn't lying about anything. It was like really heavy. Like, I mean, like, whoa, I don't need any more affirmation. I've got it all right here. My kids love me. Haley loves me. My mom loves me. My little brother loves me. You know, Elle loves me. And it was just this like and even though it was the smallest group of family and friends, and yes, I have other family and other friends that we share love with and I have history with and that I adore and respect for life. But like in that moment, it was like, this is it. This is it. Whether you've got $1 billion or whatever you're chasing, coming home and knowing that like you don't need all this stuff. All that stuff that you thought you needed, like in watching that version of me die is sad. It's like, I kind of look back and go, I'm going to miss you. I am. I'm going to miss you. You've been like there for me when I needed to be brave. You've been there for me when I, needed jokes. You've been there for me when I needed to feel better.
Yeah.
When I needed to do this or that. But then when I think about when I needed that person, it was when I was just doing all the wrong shit. So it was it's hard to explain because it has nothing to do with the birthday. It was trying to conceptualize, and you and I've been talking about this. I've really been focused on really processing time. So thinking about this and how much I've grown, it's hard because people, and I'll kind of end with this, and I know that you've got some stuff on this as well, but like people will come to me and go, man, you're not even who, even 3 years ago, dude, I wouldn't even recognize you. And it's not like my physical appearance. I've looked the same for a long time. It's like your attitude or your approach to this, or man, I asked you to take some shots and you said no, or I asked you like the way you're carrying yourself or some things is you're not even like that. I don't even recognize you from 3 years ago. It's almost like telling somebody that's super overweight, like, man, look at you, man, you've lost a bunch of weight. Yeah. But really, that person who lost all the weight's like, I used to be fat. Like, so it's not always this great compliment when you tell someone, wow, you've lost a ton of weight. They're like, yeah, thanks, man. I used to be fat. Right. And so when someone tells me like, man, you're not even who I thought, you would be now, like, oh man, you're surprised me. I almost get in my head about it. 'Cause I'm like, damn, I didn't realize that you even recognize that. I thought I was hiding it real well, but apparently I wasn't, because of people that I love and people in the office and whatever, like, man, you've changed a lot. Yeah. Which means, damn, I wasn't hiding it as well as I thought I was.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's happened to you or like, cause you're 40.
Just turned 40.
You're 40.
Yeah, this year as well.
I know, take the birthday out of it. Like, I know that we've been talking about time. Like, cause you and I have had a very similar path. Like, had we met each other in our 20s, dude, we'd be fucking dead right now, dude.
We've said that a couple of times. I'm glad I didn't meet you at like 23.
And timing and readiness. Like, I think that our energies, had we met in a nightclub with our boys.
Oh yeah.
And we realized like, oh man, we can use these superpowers for evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just go back to what you were saying, and using the analogy of someone who loses weight. That person has to see themselves different before they physically lose that weight, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like you have to change the way you see yourself. You have to change, what that is. And I don't think you can do that on your own power. I think that's something you have to surrender and get help from that. Like, God, help me see myself in a different light, the way you actually see me. And like you think of like the Bible and the story of Moses, right? Like, they got out of Egypt. They escaped that slavery they were literally in. They go all the way. I think that says if you just take a straight line, it would have taken them like 3 days. Like in a plane now, it's under an hour flight from Egypt to the Promised Land. But it took them 40 years. They walked in circles for 40 years. And shout out to my coach Reggie, Uncle Reg. He said, what if that story is you? And I've never thought of it that way. Like, what if we all are in that story? And as you were saying all this, that's all I thought about. You've been in that desert for 40 years. You've been going in circles. And what did they do? They were on the doorstep of the Promised Land, and fear kept them out. The 12 spies go, And 2 of them come back and say, like, we got this. There's literal giants in this land. And 10 of them said, they're way too big. We can't beat them. But 2 of them are like, nope, those were the only 2 that were able after the 40 years to cross into it. And I've thought about this. It's like, that's all fear. Mm-hmm. Fear keeps us back from everything. Like when we say we're stressed, like Tony Robbins said, he said, that's the achiever's word for fear. I'm scared of not making enough money or not being good enough or not driving this car and all these other manifestations of it. But you're really just scared. But you say, oh, I'm stressed. Or like we talked about last week, busyness is not business. Mm-hmm. I'm busy. That's really stressed, right? So like rest is the way you punch this thing in the face. But going back to that, the desert, it's like you can't step into your promised land until you kill fear. And as you were talking, like thinking about Vegas, I'm scared I'm not going to be perceived a certain way. That's why I bang shots and try to hook up with girls and all this stuff in my past life so that I could be perceived as enough, right? Mm-hmm. And I really feel like that's like the significance of 40. It's no accident we met at 40. Or
yeah.
Like
right around here, yeah.
Both born in 1984, you know, like same birth year, all that stuff. And it's like, that's like what we're stepping into. And I really think there's a significant number in that 40 number.
I do too.
You know? And so that's what I was in my thoughts as you were saying this. It's like, Alex is about to step into his promised land.
Yeah.
And I think we are, you know, but you can't step into the promised land being the person you used to be. It takes that 40 years to kill that fear.
It does.
And
yeah, you have to say goodbye to that.
Like, think about it. Like, why don't prayers get answered, right? You cannot serve 2 masters. You'll either love one and hate the other. Prayers don't get answered because you're praying in the wrong spirit. It's not that you're saying the wrong thing, but like it's all about like your thoughts are your speech to the spirit world.
Yeah.
And so it's like if I'm doing something out of fear, well, then I'm never going to get the result I want. What you sow, you'll reap, right? Seed time and harvest. That's what we're here talking about.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's like I'm finally at 40 and finally feeling like I'm figuring some stuff out that I've thought my whole entire life.
Right.
And like you look back on it now, it's like, oh, that's why I did that. I was really scared, actually. I was scared that I wasn't going to be perceived as this and that and da-da-da. And it's like an endless journey. But like if you can just be comfortable in your own skin, self-awareness, I think that's the most powerful place you could ever be.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's, and I'm hearing things even different when people say things like, you know, especially, you know, the network has gotten so small for me. My circle, dude, I can count you guys. Like, I mean, you and I, you know, Mikey, Isaac, Gunnar, you know, and then of course my loved ones at home and a few one-off relationships I have in here. And it's like, you know, Isaac and I were talking yesterday and he said, you know, I heard somewhere once, you're always one joke away from blowing it. Right. And blowing it could be the interview, the deal, the date, you know, dinner, you know, meeting with your friends.
Yeah.
You're always one joke away from you being the cool guy. You're always one joke away from just changing everyone's mindset of who you are. And that's so true from a funny man, someone, and I use jokes usually when I'm the most insecure or scared, right? Like I've always used jokes to deflect something serious. Yeah. Or there's some crazy conversation going on in a business meeting, and I try to break the ice with a funny joke so that people lighten the mood. And I really sat on that and was like, I've been the class clown since kindergarten. It was all my insecurities. I would like use either my sports or my jokes. You know, like when someone would say something like, "You didn't study, Alex?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I could whip your ass." You know what I mean? Like I would, even though the answer was no, I didn't study. I didn't make the right choice. It was like, no, but I could do this better than you. You can't fight. Yeah. You know, or, you know, don't leave your girlfriend around me, Dylan, you know, Brandon, you know, and they're like, your mom. Yeah. They're like, what? Like, why would you say that? And but I was so afraid of, you know, being the smart kid in class. Like I was I was not a bully, but like if I raised my hand and tried to give the answers, like it wasn't my style when I was a kid. And then as I'm getting older, even, you know, the jokes that I make sometimes, even like running team meetings, like I'm starting to think about like, man, I need to be, I can't be this person anymore. Like I can't. And really growing out of that of, I want to show people how to go and to follow me in certain places.
Yeah.
But not if you're still, jokey joke man and you're doing this and you're everybody's homie and you're never really going to get there. And so it's been a battle for me of how do you be that person without, so a lot of self-discovery, a lot of self-assessment, a lot of and you do have to go back into books. You do have to go back into meditation. You do have to go back into podcasts, and really start doing your own research and start thinking. And that's, I think, a part of professional, personal development that people don't realize, that you really do have to obsess on like who you want to become. And it's, everyone battles with this. Every human being in the world is trying to be something else or do better,
It's like, I think the quote just came to me, and I don't know how these quotes just pop into my brain.
You've got a Rolodex.
It was Marianne Williamson. She wrote this book. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but she said, the thing we fear the most is the light inside of us. And I'm like, man, I really feel like that's the truth. Like, I've been so nervous of that my whole life, of just like actually being who I'm meant to be, that's where all my negative stuff came in, like not having the courage to say, no, I'm not drinking tonight. I got a game tomorrow. And really it's like a lack of rest, like when you're quiet, like it says in the Bible, like be still and know that I'm God. Well, you have to be still, right? So like the stillness for me was always the thing that terrified me the most. That's why I had to go out 3-4 nights a week. I had to be up. And so I never rested. So like I've always self-sabotaged by not resting, where now like I'm not doing all those negative things, but like I'm also still, it's hard for me to rest. It's like the gym. It's a good thing, right? But if you got to go to the gym every single day and you can't miss a day, and then that becomes like the thing, like worship, right? Worship is just what you spend the most time with. So it's like, well, if I'm worshiping fear and worry, I'm spending the most time with that, then I get that in my life. And it was like, if you understand the light, if you're self-aware of who you are, I think it's like you said, who you're becoming. Yeah. But that's that's the person you always meant to be. It's just the falseness of everything you put in the path up till 40. That's like what I feel like I'm unlearning that whole first chapter of my life.
Yeah, and we're always, whether it's one joke away from ruining something or one decision away from a totally different life, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the choices that we're challenged or faced with making are the most unpopular choice. Whether it be let's go out, let's do this, let's say this, let's watch this, whatever it is. Usually the righteous choice, like 99% of the time, is the most unpopular choice.
Yeah.
And so you have to be okay with not being the cool guy.
Yeah.
Not being the fun one, not being the cool dad that lets the kids drink in his basement, and not being the dad that lets them stay out all night, or not being the business partner that likes to just like, let's organize everyone and rip shots. Let's, let me be the boss that takes everyone to the strip club. And that was happening out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like where teams, like whole teams were going to. And I'm like, wow, my God. Like I can't even imagine that being like where we're at. I'm like, we're not gonna, you're not gonna get where you need to go. You're so distracted over here. And yes, I wish that I would have definitely, lived a different life had if I had the courage to make those decisions younger. But now it's just, it is what it is, timing and readiness, right? Like it's all about timing and are you ready? So and I think you and I battle with this a lot of where we feel almost late to the dance. 40 years old, we're just kind of finding our groove with this. There's some amazing conversations coming with work and growth, but like it wasn't time and we weren't ready.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Like, and it's a humbling thing to say. Like it wasn't my time and I was not ready.
I mean, dude,
for the money or for whatever.
For sure. Like if I had been rich in my 20s, it would have probably literally killed me.
Yeah, you'd have been dead. Me too.
I was so much into fulfilling everyone else's opinion of me and trying to live up to this standard that I would have for sure lost all that money. I would have never, it's like, it's not hard to get rich. It's hard to keep it, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I would have for sure gotten rid of all.
You got to know where you're going.
Yeah, I would have just thrown it away because it was a burden. Like a blessing out of season is a burden. Like if it comes before you're ready for it, it's not a blessing. It's a burden.
No, it's a curse.
Like you think of the lottery. I think 97% of people who win the lottery, they're worse off 3 years later.
Yeah.
So how many people say, I'm just waiting to win the lottery? I'm like, really?
Whoa.
Because you don't have the life experience, you don't have the wisdom to actually steward that. So I'm actually grateful that I didn't get what I was going for. So
yeah, I touched some pretty special things through it, but I threw it all away.
Yeah.
And now looking back on it, just what we're saying is absolutely correct. Like if you get it, and I've had it a few times.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this, right? And I've gotten it, whether it be the money or the house or, the family or whatever you have, whatever you're measuring. And I didn't feel deserving because I knew behind closed doors, everyone thinks they're at this birthday party of mine or this situation and they're celebrating me or they're happy or they're congratulating me on a successful event or, a new home purchase or whatever it was. And it was always like a congratulations, Alex. And everyone was there to like celebrate me and high five me and hug me and tell me they were proud of me. And I was an imposter. They didn't know what was really going on behind door number 1.
Interesting.
And then they didn't see what was going on behind door number 12.
No wonder that chapter of your life just disappeared. It's like sand.
It had to burn it.
Yeah.
And try to pick up as many good pieces from it as possible and stay true to the people that have really helped me along the way and stay true to me.
Yeah.
But it was like, whoa, no wonder the big house and this, that, and the other was never the answer. Because I took the devil from that was within me from that house over here in Aurora to this house over here in Corey Merrill. I didn't like cut the head off then. I just took the problem and relocated it into a bigger house. And then it was celebrated. Man, you balling out, dude. You're doing big things. And I was like, I wanted to like put a time out at this party, I think it was my 38th birthday. I think it was my 37th birthday. I wanted to put a time out. Everyone, I've got a confession to make. Now that you're all here, just so you know. But it was like, that's what I was battling with is everyone was coming in and hugging me and congratulating me. I felt like this is all fake. No one knows what's happening to me behind the scenes. Like this is like everyone's here smiling and I love everyone that came. These are my friends and family from my whole life.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with them. It was like they were there genuinely supporting me and Hong and my family and what we had built and the money I was able to make and our family that we were growing and the people we were helping. But it was all a lie. That was brutal. Yeah. I hope that no one I know has to feel what that felt like. And I don't have any regrets because it's like, had I not gone through that, I wouldn't have seen what I see now. Now, do I have some rebuilding to do? Yeah. But it's okay. Yeah. I've got you, I've got this. We've got an amazing group of people. Yeah. And you and I think give us a year's time. And I think what's going to be really cool about this podcast and this journey, dude, is I think you and I are going to be looking at each other in a different table in a different studio a year from now. Yeah. And telling a completely cool story. For sure. Like a radical story about how this is real. And hopefully the people watching will see that we've been speaking this into existence. Yeah. And that it takes time, know?
It's like the truth will set you free, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's like the truth about who you really are. Like, I've realized my whole entire life, I've just chased freedom. Anything that like confined me, like as a kid, I immediately like fought against that. I hated rules, got me in trouble a lot, But like I've realized, like I always wanted to climb trees. I always wanted to go to I've loved hiking because then I get to the top of that mountain, I can see, like that's freedom to me, right? And it's like, but if you don't know who you really are, it was like when I was a personal trainer and a life coach, I was trying to teach people freedom, but I wasn't free myself. So how can I lead someone to a place I've never been?
That's imposter syndrome.
Exactly. Yep. And that's why I had to burn that chapter of my life down. And that's why I was open to real estate once I finally realized the truth that like I'm living a lie, right? And it was like, oh man, this sucks. Because what I built had to go. So that chapter had to die. Now I've learned from it. And like, I'm grateful for all that time because I literally feel like now I do the same exact thing, but I'm doing it from a place of freedom. Mm-hmm. Like helping someone buy a house or sell a house is helping them find freedom as well. Because what's more important than the place you live? Like you have to have good energy around you if you want to live a good life, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's all I've really cared about. I just want to find freedom, but it's really me trying to find freedom. And now it's like, I'm okay with like, I guess this is what this podcast is about. It's like, come to the top of the mountain with me. Like I'm figuring this out. Like I'm in the jungle. We're going through. I got the machete out. I'm, hacking through the vines and the leads. But like in the past, I always wanted to kind of be in the back. I wanted to blend in, knowing I was supposed to be at the front. And I never like felt okay with that. It was like a fear of that light of like being the leader stepping out. So it's like going back to the beginning. Like if you want to lead others, you first got to lead yourself. If you want to lead your family, like you're going to lead your family, but it might be down a terrible path.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want my son and my daughters to experience the stuff I went through. So I want to kill all of that in me because they're going to learn through observation.
You pass it right through them.
All of the nonverbal communication speaks way louder than, hey son, this is the birds and the bees. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they're watching at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like those little tiny things. And it's like, to me, before my son was born, that was oh my gosh, I got to do everything right type of thing. But I realize now it's just like you just got to go down to the journey and share it. And that's the best lesson they'll ever see. You going through the stuff. And I think this is kind of what this podcast is. It'll be fun to look back a year from now and be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, because of that, we are here now.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be good to get started, but you have to get started to get good.
Yeah.
And it's like, you do have to get started on this journey of killing that ego, the false version of yourself that was probably created as a kid.
Yep.
And so no matter how good of a home I think you grow up in, I think we all have this piece.
100%.
And it's like a journey we have to go down.
Yeah.
So I'm with it, man. I'm in there.
Yes, sir. Close us down, brother.
Man, this is episode 13, Seed Time and Harvest Podcast. It's a blessing, and I'm grateful to be on this journey with everyone.
Yeah, man. Likewise.
Self-awareness leads to self-assessment.
Yep.
Peace.
Peace.